Are you tired of having the balance between luxury, performance, and efficiency when it comes to a crossover? Well, this all-new Lexus RX500h might just be the ticket. What's it like? Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Max, racing driver, lover of driving fast, fun things, and on this channel, you get reviews for drivers, from drivers. This is a bit of an occasion because this is an all-new RX, and at least in this part of the world, the Lexus RX is one of the most popular luxury crossovers you can buy. Extremely sought after and a loyal group of customers, that's for sure. And before we get into what this is like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. Since this is all new, it's worth paying attention to what's going on mechanically because this is very different from any previous RX.
Under the hood, there's a 2.4-liter turbocharged four-cylinder, plus that is a hybrid unit itself, and there's an electric motor at the rear axle. And in total, combined output of this entire system is 366 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 406 pounds of torque from 2,000 to 3,000 RPM. The transmission is a 6-speed automatic, delightfully not a CVT. This is all-wheel drive by design. On this model, there is 4-wheel steering. Brakes are 6-piston calipers at the front with big 15.7-inch rotors, 13.4-inch rotors at the rear with single-piston calipers, suspensions based around McPherson struts at the front, multi-link at the rear with adaptive dampers.
Because this is the top spec with the F-Sport Performance package, this one rocks 21-inch wheels and tires. Curb weight of this RX 500h is 4,750 pounds. Worth mentioning, that is about 500 pounds more than the all-wheel drive RX 350, and weight distribution, static weight distribution, is 52% front, 48% rear, and on this channel we know it's not static weight distribution that counts, it's how you use it. You guys know I'm more of a engine roar kind of guy than an earbud kind of guy, but that is until Raycon came on the scene and turned me into a believer with their top-notch audio gear. Rev up your purchase with 15% off. Just go to the link in the description box below or direct to buyraycon.com/BrianMax and you'll get 15% off your order. This isn't just a great deal, it's a great way to help keep your favorite car channel running on all cylinders, but don't hit the brakes just yet. We've got a special surprise for you, courtesy of Raycon. Raycon's all about proving that premium sound and essential smart tech don't have to cost a supercar. And they're all about top-tier quality without any of the marketing fluff. Raycon doesn't farm out any of their design or development. No, it's all done in-house by their top-tier team of audio development engineers who cut their teeth at Bose and Peloton, and those are two brands that I have in my house. I never gave much thought to earbuds until last year when we launched our racing team. Suddenly I'm on endless calls with the team, drivers, partners, you name it. And when I'm filming episodes in the countryside or taking my dog for a walk, my everyday earbuds from Raycon are my co-pilots. With their stellar sound quality, noise isolation, and awareness mode, they've seamlessly integrated into my daily routine. Remember, you can claim 15% off on these game changers by clicking the link in the description box or visiting buyraycon.com/BrianMax. The everyday earbuds from Raycon have turbocharged my daily life. They're so compact and convenient. I simply pocket them when I'm not using them and pop them in whenever I want. And if my phone rings, it's a breeze to take the call and keep my day in high gear. I'm particularly impressed with these custom gel tips for a perfect in-ear fit. No problem for me. Call quality is excellent, and there's 8 hours of playtime on these. To get your 15% off, go to the link in the description box below or direct to buyraycon.com/BrianMax. And since you've stuck around, here's that special surprise. Courtesy of Raycon, we're giving away this pair of everyday earbuds. You have to be a subscriber. You have to be following me on Instagram. All you need to do is drop a comment below with the hashtag Raycon Everyday Earbuds, and you're in the running. While this driver interface is extremely important to us on this channel, I do have to say I'm left with one massive impression, and that is this RX is extremely well finished and well engineered. It's extremely well screwed together, and I'm seriously impressed with the level of fit and finish everywhere in this RX. It's extremely impressive, and at its price point, the way they've engineered this, you could consider this a bit of a bargain, because I would say that this is over-engineered. Here in the driver's seat, I'm perfectly positioned. Getting in and out of this RX is easy. The hip point is exactly where most people want it. After that, we've got a very supportive, very comfortable seat and a great interface to the steering wheel and the pedals. Lots of adjustment in the steering wheel, and this is the F-Sport Performance, so it does have the F-Sport steering wheel, and it's the right shape and the right size. It's absolutely perfect in here, and your hands are going to be very comfortable on the steering wheel, not at 10 and 2, but at 9 and 3. The seat itself is, of course, heated and ventilated, but it is very, very supportive, and there's lots of adjustment here as well. Anybody is going to be comfortable in this seat. After that, we're left with modern Lexus ergonomics. Everything is fairly straightforward. The only thing I'm really going to complain about are these switches. If you've seen any other new RX episodes, I'm sure people are complaining about these secondary touch controls. Really not a fan of these for a couple of reasons. The display is on the heads-up display, and with my polarized sunglasses, I really can't see that display. You do get used to it. I suppose over the long term, it's very intuitive, but right now, as someone who doesn't drive a lot of these, it's not that intuitive, not that easy to live with, and I've got to take my eyes off the road a little bit to understand what we're actually trying to do, whether we're setting the adaptive cruise or trying to do something else. Really not a fan of these touch-based controls with the display in the heads-up display. After that, I really don't have any complaints. The digital instrument cluster is fantastic, as is the massive touchscreen. It is spot on. As you can see, they've moved a lot of the controls onto the screen. The climate controls are all in here, as well as pretty much everything else, but the screen is clear, it's legible, it's got a fast processor behind it, so it's really easy to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And of course, wireless CarPlay, and there's a wireless charger down here, and it works absolutely flawlessly for me. I'm very impressed with it. In terms of spaciousness, there's lots of room in here for your stuff. One of the things that's cool is this sort of dual function armrest opening. Kind of dig that. There is a bit of storage here, and that's, of course, as I mentioned, where the wireless charger is. Decent amount of storage in the doors as well. What's great about the second row is that the seat is a little bit higher, so it's more of that theater style seating, so passengers in the second row have a great view at the front as well, which is important if your second row passengers tend to suffer from motion sickness. If they can see better, that tends to reduce that. Under the hatch, there's lots of space as well, and what is impressive and should be expected at this trim level is the power folding seats for the second row. So if you got larger stuff to throw in here, as I did the other day, it's so easy to drop those rear seats. You really have to appreciate that. And lastly, in terms of visibility, that's dialed as well. Great visibility in all directions, and there are effectively 360-degree cameras, including a camera in the nose of this RX, so it makes it extremely easy to park, as does the four-wheel steering, which we'll talk about a little later in the episode. Yes, this is relatively quick. It'll do 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. And really, when you're on the move, that's when it's at its quickest. It's really not 0 to 60 kind of crossover, but it is quick enough to launch off the line. But when you're accelerating up to highway speeds, you've got an abundance of power and torque, no troubles there. What I do find impressive is the sound of this 4-cylinder engine inside the cabin. There must be some sound augmentation going on because it's got a little bit of bass to it, but what they have done is they've paid attention to the acoustics, so there's really not much of that 4-cylinder noise coming into the cabin. This cabin is extremely quiet, so you really aren't hearing much of this engine at all. Secondly, the transmission shifts so smoothly. It's a pleasure to have a geared transmission in this RX. Yes, it's just a 6-speed automatic, but you really don't need any more here. The shifts are so smooth, they're almost imperceptible. You do have manual control over the gearbox. You can put it in manual mode if you so desire. And then, of course, you do have shift paddles on the back of the steering wheel. I really haven't used them, and that's a testament to how good this transmission's shift algorithm is. It's extremely well resolved. They've done a very, very nice job with it. Of course, I've only driven this in the dry, so I haven't had any chance to really test this in any low grip conditions and test the all-wheel drive system. The promise of that electric motor at the rear is that its responsiveness should be instantaneous, much quicker than a traditional part-time mechanical all-wheel drive system. So that is probably going to help in conditions like we have here, lots of snow and that sort of thing. But otherwise, I haven't been able to test this properly, and I'm looking forward to driving one of these in the winter. Yeah, there's got to be some sound augmentation going on here, because it does sound more like a V6 than a 4-cylinder, but that's a good thing when you're driving this Lexus RX. It does not sound like a 4-cylinder at all, and that's maybe a bit on the overdone side, but it does add to the overall driving experience, and it's definitely a positive. One of the dynamic highlights of this particular RX is the four-wheel steering. Just makes it extremely maneuverable, a little more confidence when you're on the move and changing lanes, for example. But when you're parking, this thing is easy to stick into a parking spot. It's got an incredibly tight turning radius, and when I first got into this, I didn't know that it had four-wheel steering, but as soon as I turned the steering wheel and discovered that short turning radius, I'm like, oh, this is very, very good. I'm very happy with the way the steering system works, and of course, when you're on the go, it's direct and precise, not very quick. It's exactly what you'd expect for an RX, and you do have a lot of confidence in the steering system, like the heft of the steering system as well. Braking is another highlight, and I was thinking about it. 6-piston front calipers here, and you look at the size of the rotors, and you could say that this is maybe a little bit over braked, and that's a good thing. This isn't 5,000 pounds, it's 4,500 pounds. You load it up with a bunch of people and it's going to be well over 5,000 pounds, but there is lots of braking power here, and you've got a lot of confidence in this brake pedal as well, not just with the power, but because there's a little bit of feel and feedback. Modulation is very clear, and you can control the braking very, very easily here. So when you're behind the wheel of this RX, you've got a lot of confidence in your ability to stop it and avoid a collision if you're presented with that situation. The suspension has surprised me, because in previous similar Lexus models, when they have these adaptive dampers, there's not much of a difference, and they haven't done a great job, but this is at another level. These dampers are very well tuned, and they have excellent body and wheel control. They demonstrate that perfectly. I'm very impressed with the damping here. The suspension's ability to soak up rough pavement, rough asphalt, even some dirt that I've driven on, is impressive. They have done an excellent job with the suspension. Very little crash through, and that was a nasty railway crossing, and the suspension just absorbs it perfectly. You and your passengers are going to be very, very comfortable. Even in the corners, they've managed to keep body roll at a minimum, which I definitely appreciate as a driver. I think you will as well. And overall, the suspension kind of is the best of both worlds, at least in Lexus crossover land. It's got decent handling, and then just a very, very smooth, comfortable ride. This is about the only thing I have to complain about when we're on the move. Every time you restart your RX, you have to switch on the auto hold function, and for somebody who drives in the city a lot, it's a little annoying that I've got to do that every single time. Plenty of other manufacturers will let you switch that on permanently, and that's definitely the way I prefer it. Another complaint I have, and it's really not about the dynamics, but it's more about exiting and entering the RX, and all the switches are electronic. Yes, you can pull this manually, but everybody that's jumped in and out of this thing more than a few times has been a little annoyed with these electronic switches, and that seems to be par for the course. Everything here seems to be an electronic switch, which is good and bad, but overall I don't mind it because it eases some of the functionality. You just have to remember you've got to press some of these buttons deliberately before they work. How do you spec yours? Well, that's fairly easy because this top spec RX500h with just about everything has the necessary performance options like the adaptive dampers, but there are some considerations. What you are looking at is copper crest, and I think I've been asked about this color about half a dozen times in the few days I've been driving this RX. In terms of speccing your RX, it's really going to come down to two things, whether you prioritize driving or prioritize efficiency. If it's driving, well, you need this fully equipped RX500h. If it's efficiency, you might want to wait until we get our hands on the RX450h, and that's a plug-in version of this RX, and that promises to be very efficient. My verdict? Well, we often start this segment with fuel consumption, and here's the thing. I've been primarily and predominantly driving this in the city, so I don't have great mileage to report. If I'm able to achieve something different in a highway drive that's coming up, I'll put it here on the screen. But so far, I'm getting about 25 miles per gallon city, and that's not too bad for me, especially for somebody who likes to use the throttle pedal. That said, this new RX, and especially in this 500h trim, is exactly what Lexus buyers expect. It's quiet, it's luxurious, it's quick enough, and it has all the features you have come to expect in a Lexus RX. This is absolutely spot on for this next generation RX. Certainly looking forward to trying the 450h plug-in hybrid, but until then, this is not a bad choice at all. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this all-new 2023 Lexus RX500h. Hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you're not new to YouTube. You know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this video, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even Lexus RXs.